how not to fuck up post-accident. My name is Dan Matzdorff. I am an attorney with the Biker Lawyers, and this is the do's and don'ts at an accident. I actually have my little cheat sheet here that I kind of follow. I think it's more appropriately named. It says how not to fuck up post-accident. I started out of college working in the insurance industry. So I worked for large insurance companies, got to know how insurance companies operated, what their goals are, who they're really loyal to. I did that for 25 years. After 25 years of working for the dark side, I got wise, I got out, I went and got a law degree. I had a good friend of mine who just happens to be my brother-in-law, who kept saying, Danny, why don't you use your one of your biggest hobbies and make that part of your job? One of my big hobbies is riding the bike. Pete Leehey here, he's my brother-in-law, and he's one that after a couple years of my kind of saying no, I finally decided to join him, and I have loved every minute of it since. Having my hobby and making that be part of my job. Insurance, it's a necessary evil. And why do we start this session off talking about insurance? Because that's who really is going to make, that's why we do our do's and don'ts after an accident, because we're going to be dealing with insurance companies after an accident. If we have to go so far as to actually file a lawsuit, I'll file a lawsuit and it goes against John Doe, but I never talk to John Doe unless it's at a deposition. I'm talking to the insurance company who hires the attorneys, and the attorneys are representing the insurance company, really not actually the insured tortfeasor, the guy who actually caused the accident. They're a necessary evil. That's what they look like. They got the little horns, go in their offices. They have hats on, somebody cut them up. But we still need them though. We need insurance companies. But insurance companies have a catch-22. And everybody's got a pretty good idea what does an insurance company do? What is their job? What it's about? It's to protect you, right? Protect your time of an accident. I see heads shaking, no. You're right, no. They have one job, making money for their stockholders. The CEO is not gonna keep his job if he's not making money for his stockholders. He's not gonna get that $12 million bonus crap that they've been getting in our stock options if they're not making profits. So how do they make a profit? Well, they have to sell the product. How do you sell the product? You have to have competitive prices. You know, you go out and you price your automobile or your bike insurance, and it's 3 times higher for this company than that company. They're gonna buy it from here, so they have to keep the prices down. So how are they gonna reach these profits to make their stockbrokers happy? Well, some of it's investing, but a big chunk of it is don't pay claims. They are finding ways to not pay their claims. They're looking for ways to drive down the claims. That is what they do. They're out there saying, you're covered. They're actually laughing their ass off because they know, yeah, you're not really covered. We're gonna do everything we can to keep your claim down. If they paid what they were supposed to, as they promised, as Flo tells us, and Patrick Mahomes tells us, and the good hands people tell us, I would probably be doing divorces instead of doing personal injury law. Force them to cover your assets. The insurance industry has a saying, and they use this against us all the time. If it's not documented, it didn't happen. And that's pretty much what the rest of this is going to be talking about, is finding ways to keep stuff documented so that we have a fighting chance when we're dealing against insurance companies. So Bigfoot said, and I'd like to before we go any further, I want to make a big shout out here. I think you'll notice in the top left that picture, Big John from Troy County. Thank you for posing for that, John. And bottom right, Sasquatch from FFR. I have not seen him here this weekend, but he posed for the other picture. Everything starts at the crash site. And as long as you're able and capable, there's certain things you should always be doing. First of all, call 911. We gotta start getting documentation. Where can it start? Start with the policeman showing up, making an accident report for you. It's documented. You can get medical care there. Even if you think you just have a scratch. Oh, this doesn't hurt too bad. I'm a tough guy. No. Get the medical people there to get it written down that you have your shoulder's sore, you're skinned up. You may have got a concussion. It's becoming documented. Right at the very beginning now, you're starting to build your case. You're building your documentation. We've all carry a phone anymore. Take photographs. Before you go pick up your bike, take a picture of your bike laying there. Show where the car that hit you. Show where that car happens to be. Take down the names of witnesses. The police are going to be there. They're going to do that. And now they're going to talk to maybe one or two or three, but all they're really going to do is one person who they think is the best person to actually have seen and give a report on it. Don't depend on the police to do everything for you. And give us a call. Give the personal injury attorneys a call. We know how to help. We know how to protect your rights. We know how to push you to hopefully do the information, get the information, accumulate the information, and keep following up on that so that we have that information when we start negotiating or maybe even going all the way to trial against the defendant and battling the insurance company. Because what's the insurance company trying to do? Find ways to minimize, minimize you should be getting. So there's also stuff you don't do. You never admit fault. Even if you think you were partially at fault, don't admit it. Don't be saying,
you know, I was going down the road, I knew he was going pretty fast, and I thought he might not stop at that stop sign.
okay, you might as well be opening up the window in January in Minnesota because all that heat's going out and you're just going to be paying more money to heat your house because that's going to hurt you. That's going to lower your settlement. Don't be saying,
Oh, that poor young lady, she's so cute and she's crying so bad. She feels so bad and she wrecked her dad's car. Oh, honey, it's not all your fault.
no, keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything about being you're at fault. Minnesota is a comparative fault state. Most states are. So if we happen to take this case all the way to trial, when the jury is going back in there to deliberate the case and try to decide, you know, who's at fault, they'll come out with a dollar amount. And let's just say, for example, $100,000. This case is worth $100,000. The judge is also going to have given them, instructions. You also have to decide how much at fault each side was. And let's say for simplicity's sake, again, they say, you know, the guy who ran the stop sign, he's only 70% at fault. But you know, the biker, he saw him coming, he admitted that he saw him coming, maybe he could have avoided it. We're going to assign him 30% at fault. $100,000 for the damages. You're only going to get $70,000. It goes all the way down to 50%. If they came down and they said it's 51% the biker's fault, you don't get a dime. Secondly, don't ignore minor injuries. Again, we got a lot of tough guys here. You don't want to say that you're hurt, it's not that bad. You know, I got a little scrape, my shoulder's a little bit sore. Well, sometimes these injuries are just starting to become bad at that point. They can get worse and worse. And the worst thing is when it does get worse and you didn't go to the doctor, you didn't do anything, there's no document. Oh, it's not documented, it didn't happen. A month later, you work above your head. You're pounding nails, you're carrying stuff, you're lifting it. A month after the accident, you can't hardly do it anymore. You finally go in, you tell your doctor.
Boy, I'm hurting. I'm hurting ever since the accident.
Well, the other side's gonna say,
Didn't bother him for a month. Something probably happened in that month, and that's what caused his shoulder to be bad.
will the jury buy it? Who knows? But they're putting doubt in the mind of the juror. And let's also remember that the jurors don't want to be in that room. You're wasting their time. We're already a part of, as the insurance company who spends millions and millions of dollars pushing the narrative that we're an over-litigious society and preying on that, and that's what that juror does. And the juror is already not going to like you for that reason. And we don't have to get the jury to like you, but we sure as hell don't want the jury to just dislike you. So don't ignore minor injuries. Hopefully you got something, even a scratch or scrape was reported at the very beginning. Going back again, you had the ambulance or somebody come out, it's in the medical record that you had a sore shoulder, your shoulder scraped up. A month later, you're still bad, you go back to the doctor. Well, then we can start putting the pieces together without them having some narrative that screws it up, goes the other way. And we all of a sudden didn't have any documentation for that first month, so it didn't happen. Follow your doctor's advice. I don't know how many times I've got a case and going through it, and the other side is looking saying,
Well, he was supposed to go have this done. He was supposed to do physical therapy. He was supposed to get a CAT scan. He never did it. The situation's worse because he didn't follow his doctor's advice. That's not our problem. That's a you problem.
money again, going out the door. Doctor tells you to do something, do it. You have an ache and pain, go in and see the doctor. Also, the very bad thing that happens so often is people say they can't afford to go to the doctor. I tell you, you can't afford not to go to the doctor. You will get the money back. Might take a while, might take a year, but you'll get the money back. So go to the doctor. Follow the doctor's advice. Don't be shooting off and saying,
I know better and I'm gonna go do something else and ignore what the doctor said.
it's going to come back, it is going to bite you in the ass, it is going to cost you money, and then you're going to go scream, because people all the time say,
My back's bad. I haven't been able to work for 6-8 months.
well, I know it's true. I've seen him, he walks like this, can't do much. But then the other side takes it, what do they say? What do they do?
This guy says his back was so damn bad that he couldn't even work for the last 6 months, but it wasn't bad enough that he had to go to a doctor.
You got the 9 people sitting up there in the jury, and they're looking down at you and saying,
Litigious society, he's trying to bring in some money.
money going out the window. Lost income. Again, we need documentation. People can say, I lost this job, that job, but it's a document. Get a document. If you have an employer, employers will usually work very well with you. They can write something up that says what you've been doing before for hours, what you're doing now for hours, how it has improved, or how you're not working as well. You can't do certain things as you could before. Get W-2s, 1099s, whatever it is you're getting. But where you really can get killed is you work in the cash business and you're putting cash in your pocket instead of doing it to the IRS. You're not going to see that money come back. That's gone. And another one, you do your taxes, and either you don't do your taxes, or if you do your taxes, you lied on them. The other side's pretty good at picking this stuff up. And if you didn't do your taxes, and believe me, it's happened, they're going to take a look at it. And we sit back and go, you know, this is going to be played out to the jury that he hasn't done his taxes. Those 9 people on the jury, they paid their taxes. This person didn't. This person cheats. Now he's going to cheat the insurance companies. The W-2s, the 1099s, whatever you have to prove your income, the pay stubs, it's still, you're going to get beat up. You will get beat up.
My question would be, what if you go to the doctor, you use your sick leave at work, so you're getting compensated, but yet you're losing your sick leave?
That's something we definitely would discuss and try to get the money back for that.
So you
That-
could get
that
reimbursed
income.
for something like that?
Yes.
Thank
If you had to use your sick leave for that, yes. Oh, go ahead.
What about retired people? How can you do lost income?
You can't. So when you've done everything we're talking about here, if you haven't done it, you're out, you're saying,
I think I worked 60 hours a week the last few months, and I think I did this, and I think my income was a patch to this, and I think my shoulder started hurting on X date.
does that carry more weight, or does it carry more weight to say, you got records, this is what I was working. This is how many days I was working. This job I missed. This I missed there. This on my shoulder. This on my ribs. This on my back. And then I've got the documentation from my employer. I got my taxes. I got my documentation from the doctors. I got my documentation from the accident report. I got the witnesses. Which one do you think is going to give you more money to settle? Documentation. If it isn't documented, it didn't happen. And at absolute best, they only throw a bunch of doubt. The other side, the insurance companies can just throw a bunch of doubt. The attorney-client partnership. We can only do so much. The more information we have, the more documentation we get, the more we can get in the settlement. So better negotiating we have. If it goes to trial, it's more information to squash what the defendant attorney is saying. And as I said, when you can say this is, and back it up with all the documentation, that's a strong case. That's a winner. That takes away what the insurance company is trying to do to push that case down, finding ways to just not pay you what they're supposed to pay you. The other stuff, and they can start doing the other stuff, find where you didn't document. Put doubt, in the mind. Know you're gonna look bad because you haven't done your taxes for 3 years. The jury's not gonna like you, et cetera, et cetera. So that is it in a nutshell.
So if I went up having to go to the doctor because of the injury, should I be keeping track of all my mileage and all of that stuff as well?
You can, that wouldn't really be a big deal for, where, it makes a little define or small change in it. If you're having to go to a specialist, say you need to fly to Cleveland Clinic, something like that, yeah, that'd be a big expense. But a small one like mileage, you can. I don't think it's enough to really make much difference or any difference in what the settlement is. We have some more questions. Matt?
Do you have advice that's specific to self-employed people?
Nothing specific. I mean, you should have a record. You have a record of, let's say you run meetings, all your meetings that you have. And I've had it for months, and all of a sudden I have 3 months where I had no meetings. And then I start having meetings again, or, a contractor, can't work for a few months, but then you should have medical records to back that up. So you can piece it together. I'm going, I didn't work for these 3 months, and right here's my doctor's report saying, I was going to the doctor, yeah, I can't work. Doctor said, you can go back to work in, a month. Another quick example that we see all the time. Doctor said I can go back to work in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, you can't go back to work yet. You're just physically not able to go back to work yet. It's amazing how few people go back to the doctor that instead they just end up not working for another month or two, and they want to have it all compensated. Well, the defense comes out 100% of the time and says, sorry, the doctor said you were going to go back to work in 2 weeks, and you said you're out 2 months, but you should have been working in 2 weeks, and you never went back to the doctor to complain again. You're cheap. So we need to be able to fit the pieces together to tell a convincing story. And it also makes it a lot easier for us to settle before a trial, because the defense knows we have all that information, because we've got to give them everything. They see we have that information, they're a lot more likely to settle it out. More reasonable amount for the first offense. Frank?
I've got a couple of questions that's gonna take us to places we've been before, but we're trying to get a settlement for injuries we've suffered, and we're trying to get that money from another party. And of course, we're gonna assume the other party has nothing except their insurance. So just so people in this room know, what's the minimum amount of insurance you can have and legally drive in Minnesota?
Did everybody hear the question? Frank was pretty much asked, what's the minimal amount of insurance you're required to have for liability? It's $30,000 in Minnesota.
So now, my next question is, if I have $250,000 worth of injuries, insurance company's gonna give me $30,000 pretty readily, and the client, if he's only got $30,000 worth of insurance, probably doesn't have much else. Who's responsible for the rest of my bills?
Well, here's the deal. You can go to trial, and you can get the guy, you'll probably win a settlement for, let's say, the $250,000. The insurance company pays their $30,000, that leaves $220,000 left over. The guy flips burgers at McDonald's for a living. You're not gonna get it. He's either gonna be trying to garnish and get $28 a month, and then when he switches from Burger King to McDonald's, you gotta trace him down again to find him again to get a brand new pulling money out of his paycheck, or they file bankruptcy and it all goes away. So Frank, to answer your question, you're fucked.
Unless I've done what?
Unless you had uninsured,
Unless I've
underinsured.
protected my assets.
Unless you protected your assets.
How would I do that?
Get uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage.
You guys say that because the hospitals are gonna want their money. After I sue this guy and get nothing and he goes bankrupt, aren't they gonna still try and get their money out of me?
Yep.
And so I got injured by somebody else and I lose all $11 that I've saved up. But that's all I've got. I have
Frank
nothing.
obviously did not show up for my presentation last year.
I did, but I wanna bring up some of them points again this year, because there's
Yeah.
people in here that might not have heard that. But it's important that we do the things that we need to do to protect ourselves, because Minnesota allows people to drive around without protecting us for their errors. And that's driving around with $30,000 worth of insurance
Yep.
isn't adequate.
30's not gonna cover very much.
Cover the cost of
If you're
my
getting-
motorcycle.
if you get in a motorcycle accident with a car. Is that all you got? Any more questions?
Did my sister prepare that slideshow?
No,
I did.
Steve.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a question. What if the other guy's insurance company calls you? You cover that with this?
If the other guy's insurance company calls you,
Yeah.
well, they can certainly call you until you have got representation. Once you've got representation, they can't call you, they have to call us.
So, I mean, if they call you looking for what you're talking about, things to get them out of paying you, or paying for you. They're not supposed to do that legally, right?
You mean if you've already retained an attorney?
Yeah, let's say like I have Progressive.
Uh-huh.
I get run into, and then, Progressive says, okay, this is the claim, this is what's gonna happen, and we get the other insurance company calling, wanting to know what happened. See if like.
If you haven't retained an attorney, they can call you. If you have not retained an attorney, they can call you.
Yeah, no.
If you have retained an attorney, they cannot contact you.
Refer to your insurance company, right? See, find out from them, right?
You can tell them to fuck off, yeah. You don't have to tell them, you don't have to. They can contact you. I mean, I wouldn't talk to the defendant's insurance company, no.
I thought that was kind of weird, they call me, start asking them.
No. They do that, and what they're trying to do, they're trying to get information that you want to give.
What if you say to them, I can't talk to you because my arm is starting to bleed again and the trauma to my head is really causing me a lot of pain.
And then ask, is
And
this
they
being
go through
recorded?
about 40 minutes a day.
Yeah.
So I get hurt on my motorcycle and I got car insurance with next second. Would I get the higher bill to my car insurance than I do on their car insurance wouldn't cover motorcycle accidents?
I think I understand your question, but if you've got both car insurance and motorcycle insurance, you're gonna be limited to what your motorcycle insurance has. You're not gonna be able to get anything from your car insurance for a motorcycle wreck.
Okay. Unless it was the same company.
Doesn't matter. You get what you paid for, and your automobile policy's probably gonna say it doesn't pay for anything involving two wheels. You're gonna be limited to your motorcycle insurance.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Brought to you by the Biker Lawyers. Injured? Ride with us.